I was having a conversation with a group of people about conflicts, about fights, about arguments, and there was this particular young lady who said that she doesn't like them. And I mean, who does? But she says one of the things she does when she gets in an argument, she doesn't even get in an argument. If somebody confronts her or says something rude to her or attack her, she goes quiet. And sometimes she freezes. She doesn't know what to say. And she goes away, and in her head, she rehashes, and there's this loop, a conversational loop in her mind. She should have stood up for herself. She should be assertive. This is how she should have responded. But yet she doesn't know what to do with it. She overthinks it and thinks, she should go back to the person. And ultimately, eventually, she does nothing. But yet it eats out at her inside. And what she does, she distances herself from the individual. And that doesn't help, because there are some people who think that in order for you to solve a situation, particularly in marriage, is to avoid conflict. So they are conflict avoidance. There are other people like Tom. Tom is one of those people, if you upset him, you're going to get the full blast of his ire, of his anger. He doesn't hold anything back. He just simply blasts it. The vitriol that comes out of his mouth is enough to kill your spirit. And he thinks that, he's just an upfront person. He tells you what he thinks. He tells you what's on his mind. And that's the best way to deal with situations. Well, a lot of people don't actually like Tom. A lot of people avoid him. A lot of people just out of courtesy, if they have to deal with him, they deal with him, but they don't like his brash, harsh attitude and the way he deals with conflict. Well, let me just say that conflict is important and it's necessary, and it is not about the conflict itself, because conflict is inevitable. Like I said on a couple of videos ago, it is really how you deal with conflict. And in the book, The Argument Deactivate, I actually generated an entire chapter called Conflict is Not the Enemy. And I want you to think about it like this. In every profession, whether it's a carpenter, a mechanic, a nurse, a pilot, they're all faced with challenges from time to time. And they don't see the challenges as something to avoid. In fact, they see the challenges as something to work through to get a better result. So when you take your car to the mechanic is not sitting there, oh my, I don't know how to deal with it. I want to avoid this kind of mechanical problem. No, you're paying him to solve the problem. And he has strategies. He's skilled at doing that. Similarly, if you have something wrong with your heart or you get sick, you go to a doctor, and that's what the doctor does all day, every day. Similarly, if you're going to be in a relationship, things will happen from time to time. Back where I'm from in the Caribbean, there is a popular saying that indicates teeth and tongue must bite. Because of the proximity of your teeth and your tongue, sometimes you may clip your tongue, and that might be quite painful. But let me just share some excerpt from this powerful book. I suggest if you're in a high conflict situation where you're always fighting, you're always arguing, it will be a very great resource to help you to navigate through the challenges of the conflict that you have. So here in chapter 3, conflict is not the enemy, and most people think that the goal in a relationship is to avoid conflict. Fewer fight must mean a healthier marriage, right? Actually, no. In fact, they've found that one of the greatest indicators of divorce is a relationship that has no conflict. People who tell you we never fight, we've never had an argument, that's a danger sign, that's a red flag. Most couples who have no fight, who avoid fight, who avoid conflict, ultimately and eventually divorce. So you see, the truth is avoiding conflict doesn't create peace. It actually creates pressure. It's like a sealed soda bottle that's been shaken so many times or too many times. The pressure will eventually explode. My son liked to squeeze the plastic bottle, the water plastic bottle. They would after it's empty, they would put the cover on it, seal it, and then they ring it tight, so tight that ultimately the pressure inside just pops the cover off. So that if you keep it in, ultimately you would erupt like a volcano. So that's not healthy. So conflict isn't actually the enemy, it's actually the way we handle the conflict, how we go about navigating. In fact, like I keep saying, conflict is necessary. Conflict is healthy. Your relationship would grow. You will bond together if you navigate conflict correctly and in a healthy way. So, what healthy conflict actually does? It gives space for different perspective. It reveals unmet needs instead of hiding them. It creates room for repair and reconnection. It builds trust instead of breaking it. So healthy conflict transforms relationship by fostering understanding and trust. That's what it does. So we are not to avoid conflict. We are to seek ways in which we can navigate. You know, if you're in a conflict, I like what this guy says. Oh, what's his name? I keep forgetting his name. He says that when you're in a conflicted situation, what you need to do is to seek to understand. It is almost like your communication gets like a knotted ball of yarn or wires. And what you need to do is to find ways to untangle. You know, like you get spaghetti that you all mix up, to untangle. That's the process that we need to untangle to see what's beneath and what each other is communicating. So you need to see conflict more as communication and not a fight and not combat. I want to just give you this excerpt because I find this is really relevant to what we're talking about, that we need to see conflict as a communication, not combat. It's not a war. It's not a battle. So let's completely flip the script. Behind every unpleasant action is a feeling or emotion. Behind that feeling or emotion is actually a thought. Behind every thought is a need. Usually when someone gets upset, when someone shouts, when there is conflict, behind all of that is a deep need. And many times they are seeking to meet that need. Now, what if conflict isn't the breakdown of connection, but the attempt to reconnect, but it's just coming out sideways? What if a fight is really just a loud, messy conversation about what the person needs? So under every accusation, under every criticism, or even withdrawal, is usually a simple message trying to get through. And the message is, I want to feel close to you, but I don't know how to get there right now. Think about that. When the partner raises his or her voice, they may be saying, I don't feel heard. When they shut down, they may be trying to say, this actually feels unsafe. When you both repeat the same argument for the 10th or nth time, it may be because the real issue has never been named. That's what makes conflict a form of high-stake communication. The emotions are loud, the defenses are high, but the longing underneath is the same. I want you to see me. I want you to hear me. I want you to understand me. Stay with me even when it is hard. Are you in a high conflict relationship? Are you stuck having the same fights? And I want you to reframe. I want you to just simply share one of the many solutions that you'll find in the argument deactivate. And it's simply to have a reframe, a paradigm shift. The old way might be saying, I should stay quiet to keep the peace. The new frame would be, honest conflict is how we create lasting peace. What would change in my relationship if I saw conflict as a doorway instead of a danger? If you would like to get practical, pragmatic, transformational strategies of dealing with your conflict, why not get the argument deactivate? Check the link in the bio, in the description below, and you may be lucky to get it for a significant discount. Talk soon.